Hey y'all, sorry if I look confused. My computer looked like it wasn't starting and it was frozen for a second. And sorry for the delay. I don't feel that great today. Christian's doing the absolute most. It's just like all of the things are just going left. But I'm glad that you guys are here. Hey Yasmin, if you're still here. If not, it's totally okay. I understand. But I am glad to be here. So let me do my social media stuff real quick. And then we're going to get this show on the road. Oh, snap. I'm dropping my phone and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. But wow, thank you. Yes, I definitely got put onto this by you, Gali and Ghetto. I got to get some more shirts from her because she has really good merchandise. And thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just like something I ate last night. You know how that goes. But but I'm like, okay, I'm starting to slowly but surely feel better. I'm like, Lord, just get me through this live stream. That's all I really need. And the rest we can figure out. So I am just doing my social media stuff real quick, and then we're going to get started. And I'm excited to talk about this today because, okay, that's fine that you're going to be here for half an hour. That's totally okay. As you come in, if you're catching the replay, please like this video. Please share this out on your social media stories, your Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Facebook page, whatever. We're just trying to get the word out. Thank you for joining me for this live stream. I am excited, like I said, to talk about this. I'm just taking these 5 tips from things that have happened in my life of when God is trying to or about to do a new thing in your life. So I am super excited. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to get right into it. And today is going to have quite a bit of stories and stuff like that as well. Because you guys know me. I love to relate it back to what I've been through and things of that nature. So before we dive into today's topic, I need to get better lighting. Like, I know that was a random side note, but I'm like, the sun is just not shining in my room like it used to. You know? So I got to get something. But either way, I want to do announcements. So you guys already know we are 149 subscribers away from 1K, and I'm going to keep saying it. Subscribe. We are almost there. If you have multiple YouTube accounts, log into all of them and subscribe to all of my to my channel from all of your accounts. If you have multiple accounts in your household, like other people with YouTube accounts, ask them to subscribe. My watch hours are great. Watch hours are phenomenal. I'm at like 4,300 now, so I'm good with that. But the subscribers, please keep subscribing. Please keep sharing the word. As soon as I hit 1K, I have 2 very exciting announcements for you guys. And then, of course, yes, Yasmin, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Like, stop playing with me. Stop playing with your girl. But, you know, I have 2 very exciting announcements. And then I'll also be up in the ante on my content. Like, y'all are going to see some really great stuff. I have some future collabs already planned up until early 2022. So it's going to be really great. It's going to be really, really great. So I'm excited. And then, of course, like I've been saying, I'm on an Instagram break right now. At first, I was saying social media, but I'm still in and out of Facebook because that's mostly family and stuff. And obviously, I'm on here, even though YouTube really isn't social networking. But, you know, if you want to interact with me, your best bet to find me for the foreseeable future is on YouTube because I'm not on Instagram right now. And if you want to get in touch with me directly because YouTube doesn't have DMs, just send me an email at dailydelle@gmail.com. Just like my name is here, dailydelle@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you. Or if you want coaching, Coach Rondelle@gmail.com. And they're always in the description box. Make sure you guys check out the description box too, because I usually have a lot of goodies in there and a lot of information. So that's it for announcements and the welcome. So like I said, as you can see in the title, this video, this live stream is about 5 signs God is doing a new thing in your life. And so I wanted to talk about this because I've mentioned before that I was going to talk about it. And I'm in one of these seasons right now too, where I'm pivoting, you know, where I'm going in a new direction. It's not as dramatic as previous seasons, but it definitely is something where I'm going in a new direction. So these tips can apply to anything. You know, my examples are going to vary. My story is going to vary. But I'm not talking about one thing in particular, like, oh, you know, signs he wants you to go in a new direction in your relationship or in your job. Like, it can literally be all of those things. It can be a combination. And this is not the end all be all, but this is just from my own life experience, my own, you know, discernment and things I've observed and whatnot. So, you know, if you see any of these things in your own life, it could be a good indication that God is trying to take you in a new direction. He's trying to do a new thing in your life. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first point as to whether God is trying to take you in a new direction or not, is that opportunities are closing in and you don't notice any more open doors in that area. So the example I have of this is when we were getting ready to move to Atlanta. I had spent all my life in the DMV. I had moved around the DMV. I lived in various parts of Maryland. I've lived in DC itself. I've lived in Virginia, Northern Virginia, and Central Virginia. But I was always in that region, in that Mid-Atlantic region. And I've never lived outside of that. And so there really was no reason to, because, I mean, I was born and raised there. My parents were able to do what they needed to do there. It was fruitful. Things were opening. Even if, like I said, we had to move across the bridge or move to Maryland or a different part of Maryland or move to Virginia or whatever, we were still able to stay in that area. But there came a point in time, I would say like 2018, like end of 2018, fall time into 2019, when we moved down here. It was like closed door after closed door after closed door. Like it just started amping up, because it was slowly but surely getting to that point over the years. But there was always kind of like a ram in the bush, or like, like something that you could be like, okay, like it's not necessarily looking like how I thought it would look, but there's no indication that it's dried up here, that the well has dried up. And so we were able to stay. But that time period between 2018 fall and fall 2019, it was dry. I'm talking Sahara Desert dry. Like no matter what you do, it's not working. The things that used to work for you, the things that used to be fruitful, not working. The people that used to be there for you and support you or whatever, literally dropping like flies. You try to get a new career, you try to get creative like how you normally would, nothing is happening. I mean, just closed door after closed door after closed door. And so that really was an indication to me that it was time to move. And what that led me to was praying and fasting and asking God, like, okay, like, what's next? And also what happened during that time, which is another point, is that people started alluding and mentioning like moving and relocating. And I would keep hearing sermons about it, and girl, dry as a Sahara Desert. I would keep hearing sermons about it. I would keep hearing radio shows and podcasts about it. People would keep bringing it up, but that's another point that I'm going to get to in more detail. And so once I started praying and fasting, and I really started not only praying and fasting, but I started experiencing a wave of anxiety attacks around staying in Virginia. Because at this point, we were in Central Virginia, closer to Richmond. So I started feeling like a wave of anxiety attacks around staying in Richmond. Like anytime or the Richmond area, anytime we would go look at a house, anytime we would go, do something to try to move, it would not only be a closed door, but like a wave of anxiety would take me over. And like I mentioned on another live stream, anxiety attacks are no fun. Like they honestly feel like you're about to die. That's the best way I could describe it. It's very scary to live through. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So I hate when I get them, especially back to back like that, because it's like a continuous cycle for months of just like a constant looming dark feeling that I can't get rid of, and the paranoia and all the extra stuff, And so as I was feeling those waves of anxiety attacks, and I was also praying and fasting, God made it very clear that like the open doors are not here anymore. The provision has ended here. It's time for you to go elsewhere. At that time, I didn't know that it was going to be specifically Atlanta. I just knew we were going to move particularly further down south. We thought we were going to move into Richmond because we were in the Richmond area, but we were in the northern area. So I was like, okay, that is technically further down south. And then we also really liked the Charlotte area because we went for my 30th birthday. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. Like, I love it here. The cost of living is great, And so we thought it was going to be one of those two. We kind of knew that we wanted to experience living in Atlanta, but it never happened. Like, it never worked out in a way where it was like, okay, let's do it, And then on top of that, I'm not gonna lie, my parents really aren't risk takers. I'm the risk taker out of the family. Like my brother is probably second to me, but I'm the one, if there's a leap of faith to be had, your girl's leaping. Okay, like I don't hem and haw about things too long. Even big life decisions, like obviously I pray about it, I think about it more than something minute. But after that, I'm going. So I'm always leaping. I'm always the leaper. And so my parents really are not risk takers like that. They are to a degree, but as I've gotten older, they've mellowed out and they're like, nah, we're good. So because it never looked like a clear-cut situation, they never went ahead and took that leap to move to, Atlanta, even though if we had moved sooner, we probably would have not had such a rocky transition, but God doesn't make mistakes and everything happens for a reason. Because if I didn't have the rocky transition, I wouldn't be Delle. I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing, because that's what catapulted me into it. But nevertheless, those lack of open doors is what led us to say, you know what? It's time to go. And even though the open door that looked open down here was really a facade when we got here, God used certain people in our path and people in our lives that we would feel comfortable trusting to get us to move, because he knew, especially like because I was moving with my family. If it was just me, I feel like God wouldn't have had to necessarily be as dramatic per se. Maybe he still would have been dramatic in a different way, but it's like it would have worked out different. But because he knew, like, my mom was not going to get up and move unless she had people in her corner that she thought she could trust, he used those people. So even though it didn't work out how we hoped, it's like he still used them. Provision has ended here. Yes. Okay. My husband loves Charlotte. Charlotte is so amazing. Like, it's still on my bucket list to experience living there. In a couple of years, it's going to be like Atlanta as far as the diversity and the hustle and bustle and all of that. But it's just like more chill, it's more mellow, like very family oriented. It's cheaper to live than Atlanta. It's just really nice. It's really nice. And I love the fact that in North Carolina, I love North Carolina in general too. I love the fact that you get all 4 seasons. Like, you get a clear summer, clear spring, fall, and winter. Here in Atlanta, it's like summer, warm-ish, cold, and then summer again. Like, it's like cold for like a month and a half, 2 months, and then it's like boom, we're back to the heat. So, I really I really like North Carolina. There's a couple of places I want to experience living, so we'll see. Leap, I'm a leap, sis. Girl, now that's the word. The open door looked like a facade. Girl, the open door is actually closed. Exactly, And so it's like God had to kind of like let us proceed in that so we can continue to walk by faith and not be so consumed with, oh no, like we thought it was going to happen like this, but it's not. And now we got to figure this or that out. So it all worked out for the better. And let me know if my fan is bothering y'all, because I'm hot. So I got to have my fan on. The second point as to a sign that God is doing a new thing in your life is you no longer feel connected or motivated to the thing or person or situation like you used to. So the story I have for this is influencing. So you guys know or may not know, depending on how new you are to my channel. I really got into this space first and foremost being an influencer, because I wanted to be like an example for single moms who, are in an absentee situation, who are believers in Christ, and just like the modern Christian woman, like I'm a single mom, I'm a modern woman, I still believe in God, and there was really nobody doing that I knew of back in 2019 when I got in this space, because I started May 2019. So I didn't really know anybody really doing it to the level that I wanted to do it at. If there was somebody, my bad, I didn't know you, But as far as I know, I pretty much created a lane for that, where people can say, like, I can see the transparency, I can see the vulnerability, I can relate. Like, it's not picture perfect, but she's just like, she's your homegirl, she's down to earth. And so I also wanted to make friends in the area that we were living in, because like I said, by now we had moved to the Richmond area. I'm originally from the DMV, so it's not far in mileage to the point where like you feel completely disconnected, but it really is like a different culture. Once you pass Northern Virginia, you're really starting to experience Southern culture and, different things compared to like being in the DMV, where it's like a mix of Southern and Northern and just truly mid-Atlantic. And it's far enough, especially with traffic, that people don't want to commute there. Heck, I didn't even go to DC like that once we moved to the Richmond area, because traffic sucks. A trip that would normally take you maybe an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half, can turn into a 3-hour trip because of traffic. So ain't nobody doing that. So I was like, I need to make connections down here. Like, I feel like my life is shifting and whatnot. So I got into that space. Everything was going great. I was getting recognition. I got recognized by Black Christian influencers, joined that organization, met my friend Biz, rest in peace to him, and a bunch of other people through that, and through him and through me meeting him through BCI. And then I got recognized by different publications, and everything was going well. Like, people were asking me for tips on like, how do you be so transparent but still like relatable and this and that, like, coach me on this, teach me your ways, like, how do you do it, how do you build a loyal audience? And I was great. I was getting brand campaigns and everything. And then suddenly in 2020, like around between February and June, I just felt the tugging to, oh, good, you can't hear the fan. Hey, Shay, how are you? I'm glad you're able to join a live, because it's been a minute, girl. It's been a minute. But it's sometime between February 2020 and June 2020, I literally felt the shift in my spirit. Like, I felt God saying, like, it's time for you to shift. It's time for you to change. Like, this is great. You've had success here. Your name has gotten out there. You've been an example, all that good stuff. But I have more for you. And this is not to like, completely disinfluencing and be like, oh, you're just an influencer. Like, it's still a lot of work. And for some people, that is what they are literally called to do. And they are inspirational or whatever through that, or, they reach the masses through that. But I felt like God wanted me to get deeper, because I'm not going to lie, like the influencing world, to really make it, in my opinion, this is my humble opinion, so don't come for me. This is my opinion based on my experience. It's like you really have to, not that, I don't want to say it like that. The influencing world can get kind of superficial, like where it's just like, it becomes a cycle of just get ready with me's and makeup and clothing hauls. And that's great and dandy, but if you guys can't tell, I'm a very passionate person. If you've been following me this long, I'm a passionate person. I said what I said. I believe what I believe, but I still try to be open-minded and learn and just spread, information and like teach. And that's really where my heart is at. And so I feel like God was leading me to that. And I no longer, hey, mama, how are you? I hope you're doing good. I'm glad you're able to join the live. But I no longer felt connected to influencing the way I used to. It was like I was showing up, I was doing the brand campaigns, but I was like not in it. I was irritated. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is just so not what I want to do right now. I feel like there's more. And then in June 2020, it's like, I did an interview for this nonprofit organization with the CEO for this nonprofit organization based in Miami. She wanted me to do a podcast show with her. And she doesn't know me from Adam, mind you. Like, she literally found me because of everything that happened with Blackout Tuesday surrounding George Floyd. And, a lot of Black influencers and content creators were being promoted because it was like, we got to start kind of like sticking up for each other and supporting each other and stuff like that. And so she found me through one of the hashtags. And when she was doing the preliminary interview, again, doesn't know me from a can of paint, y'all. Like, never met this woman a day in my life, nothing. This is our first conversation. She was like, I don't know why, but I feel the Holy Spirit is telling me that it's time for you to shift. Like, God's been telling you, you need to shift. It's time for you to shift. And you're going to be coaching women to do this, da. Basically what my coaching business is now. I had already had that feeling looming in my head since February of 2020. So when she said that, like, she just literally continued pouring into me and like validating and confirming things that I was praying about since February 2020. And this is in June. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I don't feel connected to influence anymore. This is why I don't feel motivated to do this anymore, because it's like, that's what God wants me to do. And there had been signs, leading up to that point where it's like, like I said, people were asking me, teach me your ways. How do you do this? How do you do that? So people were asking for coaching all that time, but I didn't know that's what God wanted me to do. Hey, Queen, how are you? I'm definitely hanging in there, sis. Like, it's been a crazy month. August was a crazy month. Girl, work has been crazy. I know, it's just like you have a call in an hour, listen, while going through emails. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all y'all stopping in. I really, really love to see my girls in here. And yes, can't wait for Yaz's live tomorrow. Cannot wait. So yeah, needless to say, I was like, that's why I don't feel connected to this anymore. Because God is calling me to a new thing, which is coaching and teaching. Lo and behold, I do a spiritual gifts test again, and I pray, and I'm seeking God again. And it's confirmed that my spiritual gifts are teaching and shepherding. So when I was younger, my two strongest spiritual gifts weren't teaching and shepherding. There was something else. But I never looked into it for many years, because I'm like, I pretty much know where I'm at, whatever. But when this feeling came up, I was like, let me look it up and just see. Lo and behold, my two strongest spiritual gifts are teaching and shepherding. So I'm like, it literally all makes sense. Like, this is why God is calling me to coach and consult, because I literally love doing it. Like, I honestly love doing it, and this is why he was like dropping those gems along the way and showing me that this is what I had to do. But that feeling of feeling unmotivated and feeling disconnected came first. So you might be in a season in your life where you're like, I don't feel connected to this thing anymore, this place, this relationship, this job, like whatever it is. Maybe you just feel a yearning to move, like to literally get up and move to a new city, a new state. maybe a new country. I don't know. Like, maybe you've been on your job and there's nothing really going wrong where people could say like, oh yeah, I see why you want to leave, but you just don't have the zest anymore. And I'm not talking like a day or two here or there where you feel unmotivated or disconnected. I'm talking like a season. Like this is just an unwavering feeling that you can't shake. You can't get rid of it. And you're wondering why, because it might not from the outside looking in or with your natural eyes, nothing may obviously be wrong. It may not be anything where it's like, oh yeah, that's why you want to leave, or I understand because they did this to you or they did that to you. It's literally just an unshakable feeling. And it's like God is preparing you, because you can be thriving in that situation and God still wants you to pivot. When it was time for me to leave the government, God made it very clear. And I was at the peak of my career when I left. I was like the youngest woman to hold that position, making almost $100K a year at 26 years old. And the youngest Black woman, might I add, to ever hold that position. And it's like, I just felt the yearning, like it's time to go. And it literally made no sense. Like when I left, people thought I was on that stuff. They were like, how in the world are you leaving this position when you have everything literally cut out for you? Like, who would do that? Who would literally leave? So, hold on, y'all. I got a text message that I got to answer. My bad. All right. So sorry about that. But needless to say, it's like you might be in that season right now. You just feel disconnected. Again, it might be a relationship that is time to cut off, whether that's romantic or friendship, and you just don't feel motivated to talk to this person. You might even feel drained. Like every time you talk to them, you're like, I just feel drained now. I don't know. Like there's nothing that I can put my finger on and say that's what it is, but I just know it. Don't ignore those yearnings, because I'm telling you right now, that's the Holy Spirit letting you know that like it's time for you to get up and get out. Like it's time for you to move on that stuff, y'all. People thought I was on that stuff because they're like, this literally makes no sense. Like people are dying to be in your position and you're talking about I'm gonna leave /work class. I'm leaving you on, but won't be in the chat. That's okay. That's fine. But yeah, so when you don't feel connected anymore, when you don't feel motivated anymore, it's time for you to start praying and asking God, like, okay, why am I feeling this? And again, not a one-time thing or once in a blue moon. I'm talking like this is an unshakable, looming feeling, like it just won't go away. And you're trying to figure out why. Like it's time for you to seek God and to figure out why is that? What are you trying to tell me? Like, where are you possibly trying to lead me? The third tip that God is doing a new thing in your life is you keep seeing or hearing repetitive recommendations for the new thing. So this will be like an example of you keep having people tell you, oh, you will be a great author. You should write a book. Or, oh, you would be like they were doing with me with the coaching. Oh, you would be a great coach. Like you should definitely coach. Or they keep, even if they don't say it in those words, they're asking for it. Like, can you teach me how to do this? Can you teach me how to do that? Do you offer services for this? Do you like those are signs, if someone keeps bringing up the fact that you would be great in this kind of career, or you would be great in this kind of, atmosphere or situation or whatever, like that can all be signs. Because I don't know about y'all, but God really uses repetition to speak to me. Like if something keeps coming up over and over and over, like he's definitely trying to tell me something. And like I said, when we were getting ready to move to Atlanta, it definitely happened that way. It was like it kept coming up. It kept showing up. People kept saying, oh, you should move. Oh, you don't have to be there anymore. Oh, yeah, like it will be great. And then when it came closer to the time when we had to narrow down which city we were going to focus in on, because like I said, we were thinking either Richmond or Charlotte. And we kind of toyed with the idea of Dallas, because I have a cousin that had moved from Virginia Beach to Dallas because him and his wife were military or whatever. So we toyed with the idea, but really it boiled down to Richmond or Charlotte. And we also thought about Birmingham too, because I have friends there. And when we got down to the time, it's like Atlanta kept coming up. People kept talking about Atlanta, like relatives we hadn't talked to in eons, in years, calling us out the blue, like, oh, y'all should go to Atlanta. Like we moved down here, or we've been saying like, y'all need to move. You should check it out. This, that, the third. I'll be listening to the radio station. They be talking about Atlanta. I'll be, watching a TV show or something like that. It'll be about somebody moving to Atlanta. I would be driving down the road and see nothing but Georgia plates. Like it's literally like, okay, God, I get it, And it's crazy because even though the other cities at the time, particularly Charlotte, would have worked out better for like my sister's career field, it's like literally closed door after closed door after closed door, and it's like, this makes no sense. Like, we should be getting open doors here, because based on the what's on paper and based off of what we know, like, this should be adding up. But when I tell you, Atlanta was the only city that appeared to have open doors, but like I said earlier, those open doors actually ended up being closed doors. But God knew we needed to see a glimmer of hope for us to proceed, because he knew our blessing was in Atlanta. He knew that we had to be here so that his work can be done and he can get the glory. Because how we went other places, it's like, it would have worked out, had everything, just went how we thought it would go. It would have worked out, but I feel like the testimony would have been watered down. Like, it just makes a difference when I tell people my story and how I got here and how things happen. You can't tell me it doesn't move you. Like, I'm sorry, even if you don't believe in God, it's like, if it doesn't move you, I'm sorry, you just don't have a heart. Like, there's no way for me to put it. Like, you can't say a story like that of how my life has been the past 2+ years and not be moved and not be like, oh my gosh, like, this is miraculous. This is crazy how it all happened. I've been getting the signs, got to act on it. Yes, act on those signs. I love when God affirms like that. It's how he did me with the song that I mentioned in yesterday's live. Exactly, he affirms us, he reminds us, he repeats. And for me, I got to hear it a couple times, because I'm going to be like, God, was that you? Are you sure? Like, are you absolutely sure? Especially a big move like that, because again, I never lived outside of the Mid-Atlantic area. Yes, come on, move in. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. You got to move. When God gives you those signs, you got to move, okay? But it's like, I can become, even though I'm the one that's, like I said, more than likely going to take the leap of faith in my family, I'm the most daring risk taker, I'm still like a creature of habit, like, I think we all become creatures of habit, especially when you think about relocating to a whole new area. Like, this isn't me just moving around the DMV anymore. Even if I ended up far north as like Hagerstown in Maryland, or way past Baltimore, if I ended up as far south as like Roanoke in Virginia, I pretty much know the states. Like, I know what to expect when I'm in Maryland, regardless of which part of Maryland. I know what to expect when I'm in Virginia, regardless of which part, So to move out of that Mid-Atlantic region altogether and move to the Deep South, like, it was definitely scary. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It still feels weird. Every now and then I have like deja vu where I'm like, I feel like I'm in Virginia, because I'll be in a certain part of town that looks similar to my old neighborhood, and I'm like, wait, I'm in Georgia right now. I'm not in Virginia. But it's like, he knew we needed that glimmer of hope so that we don't become creatures of habit and miss it, because it's like, opportunities don't last forever, and God is always going to have his way. But how you move can change how the thing plays out, if that makes sense. Like, I know what I want to say. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. But needless to say, when you see that repetition, you can also have dreams and visions. So, like, for me, I had dreams of me always being on stage. Ever since I was a little girl, I've always had dreams of me being on stage, being on platforms. Like, I thought, honestly, it was going to be through my singing, because your girl, I could do a little something on the mic. Like, I got a little talent or whatever. So I thought it was going to be something like artsy like that, like to do with my gifts in that area or whatever. Or even if it's not singing, I thought it was going to be acting, because I have acted a little bit and things like that. I never thought it would be me just being myself and sharing my life story and really starting my own network. I mean, really, like, when you think about it, your YouTube channel is like your own mini network. So it's like, I'm really just being me. Like, when you see me on here, you're getting me 110%. And Michelle can vouch for that. Michelle, that y'all usually see in the comments, Minimalist Candle Company, she can vouch for it, because we went to brunch and she was like, yeah, you're exactly how you are online. And I was like, thank you, God, because that is what I try to translate. I never want people to be like, whoa, like, you were completely different. Like, obviously there's going to be parts of me that are different, but I don't want it to be like a night and day type of thing where it's like, I thought you were this way and you're the total opposite, So I never thought that it would be through this, but I always had that dream, like little dreams. I'm dreaming at night type of stuff. And that's how God speaks to me too, not only through repetition, but through dreams. He'll often give me a dream to foreshadow or to alert me as to what's going to come in the future. And so I take those kind of things seriously. But I also have had people have visions of me doing what I'm doing now, and also speaking that into my life. Like, you would be, and I honestly saw a glimpse of this at the beginning of 2020, because that's when I really started getting recognized by different publications and platforms and stuff. And I was like, I really feel like I'm going to end up either with my own network, my own of sorts, like a YouTube thing, or like my own TV show or internet show or something, because it's like, it was just a constant, like, you're being recognized, you're being on this platform, you're on this publication, you're in this podcast, you're on this channel, and it just wouldn't stop. So, needless to say, when you see that in your life, that repetition, or when you have dreams, or people have dreams and visions, and it's like similar, that can very much be a sign that God is going to lead you in that direction to a new thing. Something new is coming down the pike. It's just a matter of what is that new thing. And that takes prayer and discernment. I feel like I'm different in person. I feel like I'm more quiet. My friends might disagree. Really, we got to meet in person. We've been saying that for like the last almost year now, but we do have to meet in person, because I can't picture you being like super quiet or anything like that. I already know once we get around each other, we're going to cut up. I bring that side out of everybody. Like, we're going to be acting a plum fool, sis. And I cannot wait, because it's so much fun to do. But definitely, like, when it came to starting my YouTube, so about the vision thing, I had people, like I said, telling me like, oh yeah, I see you speaking on stages, having a platform, traveling the world, impacting women, this, that, the third. And at first I was trying to see how I can become a public speaker, which I wouldn't say that's off the table, but it's not something I'm focusing on right now. I feel like God will lead me down that path if and when he's ready. But I started my YouTube because God then put it on my heart after people spoke into my life, that they saw me speaking on stages or on platforms and having my own like major following or whatever. And God put it on my heart to start YouTube after I went through everything with the move to Atlanta. And I was in a situation where it was like, I needed to get it off my chest. I needed to just share it with people. I didn't share the video thinking like I was actually going to really take my YouTube seriously, because I started my channel and I was like, okay, like, we'll see where it goes and things like that. But I had to share that story. And I was like, and somebody out there might be going through the same thing, and hearing my story might motivate them. And from that story, I literally grew an audience, because it's like people got invested in my story. Because I literally take that video. If you go on my channel, I think it says how I moved to Atlanta or something like that. It's probably going to be the welcome video. I think they call it the welcome video, intro video, when you go on YouTube. I think it's that. If it's not there, you'll see it way down. It's like one of my first videos, if you go back. But people got really invested because they were like, oh my gosh, like, you're taping this in the moment, like while you're still going through this, while you still don't know where you're going to live and stuff like that. And I was in the hotel room taping it. You can see it in the background. And they just started following, and they started like leaving comments and finding me on Instagram and DMing me like, how are things going? Did you find a place? Like, let us know when you find a place, and this and that. So that's why I did that house tour video, because I was getting so many messages from people like, we're invested. Like, we want to make sure that you're good, type of thing. So people definitely spoke that into my life. I can't wait to meet in person too. We are so gonna cut up. Like, I'm not gonna act like I have much sense. So you gotta bear with me in advance, because I love to laugh. I love to just be jovial and things like that. So I'm gonna recap, and then I'm gonna go to the fourth one. The first point that I made that is a sign that God is doing something new in your life is that opportunities are closing in and you don't have open doors. So the provision has run out. The well has gotten dry. What used to work doesn't work anymore. You're trying to switch things up and be different and try what you used to work, and nothing's working out. The second point is that you no longer feel connected or motivated to the thing or person or situation like you used to be. So what once used to get you going, used to put that pep in your step, and used to feel like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be, now you're dragging to do it. You got to like convince yourself to do it. You got to talk yourself into it. Like, you feel drained after doing it, or talking to that person, or going to that place, or whatever. The third one, obviously, is you keep seeing or hearing repetitive recommendations from people on the outside, and they're speaking about that new thing. So like I said, people keep saying, oh, you should write a book, or, oh, you will be a great speaker, or, oh, you should move here, this city has opportunity, or, oh, I can see you doing this, that, like, and they just keep saying it, especially when it's like people that don't know you like that. Like, people that know you, yes, of course. But if it's people that like know you, but they're not like in your tight inner circle, and they're bringing it up, like maybe people that you go to church with, maybe people that you work with, maybe like friends of friends, if they're bringing it up too, I would say for sure, like, God is trying to let you know, this is where I'm leading you. So get ready now, so you're ready when the opportunity knocks and when it's time to move. The fourth point that God is doing a new thing is that God's provision has changed. So an example of this that I pulled from the Bible is when Elijah was hiding and he was by the brook, and then the brook eventually dried up, and that was when God was like transitioning him. It was time for him to move with the widow and her son, and that's how God was going to provide for him. That is like a prime example of God is moving you to a new place. In that season, the brook did what it was supposed to do. It provided shelter, it provided provision, it did all of that good stuff, you know. But when the time was up, God is like, okay, it's time for you to move. Like now it's time for you to go to a new, like literally a new location. It's time for you to trust me in a different way, because I'm still going to provide for you, but you can't be in the same place, because if you overstay, you're going to lose that protection. You're going to lose that provision. Like, you know, sometimes we hold on to things way past when we should, because we become creatures of habit. So it's like, I don't want to move from here. Like, I'm comfortable here. I want to stay here. This fits my thoughts, my dreams, my vision, you know, what I wanted from my life. And God is like, yeah, but this is not going to get you to the point where I need you to get to. Girl, I'm slipping on my job and didn't even put the points in the chat. I'm out for work for real this time. I'll have to catch the replay for whatever I miss. Love you. No, it's okay, girl. It's totally okay. Like, I understand. But and I appreciate you even putting the points in the chat. But, you know, needless to say, it's hard to leave because you're speaking truth. Oh, man, I know, right? But don't let me get you in trouble now. Like, don't let me get you in trouble on the job. But I really do love when you're here for sure, because you bring great energy and you really help me out in the chats as well. But it's like we can overstay our welcome. So you might have been provided for example, by one career, and it's time to switch. So like bringing it back to the government example, the government provided for me for many years. For 8 years, I was provided for. I moved up the ranks. It was great, you know, all of that. I learned a lot, and it really even helped me to this day pick up certain habits and certain ways of doing things, and just be the type of worker that I am, because I had that foundation. I had that, you know, start or whatever. But when it was time to transition into self-employment, God made that very clear. And so it didn't make sense at the time. I could have stayed, and yeah, I would have been comfortable based on paper. Again, like, you know, the paychecks would have been predictable. By now I'd be well over 6 figures, you know, all these type of things. But would I be on purpose? It's like I would have stayed because of my own selfish desires and my own fear, to be honest. And I'm not saying go out here and quit your jobs tomorrow because you're taking a leap of faith. Don't don't do that. Don't be like, oh yeah, Delle said quit your job. Like, no, pray. Seek God on the matter. Don't be out here losing income, you know, trying to do what I did if it's not what God has for you. But when it is for you, you will know. You will definitely know. He will make it clear. And for me, I knew for a fact, and I still know, that me being self-employed, even though it is very hard, I'd be lying if I said I don't miss those paychecks sometimes. Because come on now, benefits, predictability, like, you know what you're going to make in 2 weeks. Like, I do miss that level of predictability, but at the same time, I understand that if I was in that, you know, sphere, I was not going to be pouring into my purpose like that. Because I'm one of those people that I got to go all in. Like, I can't tap dance around the matter. I can't half step. Like, I'm either in or I'm out. There's no in between. And I know, like, honestly, working for the government can be good in the sense that it is, you know, predictable income, is very secure. You don't lose your job like that. Like, once you're in, you're good. And it's pretty easy, especially if you get in the career ladder, to move up the ranks and get promotions and more income every year and stuff. And of course, with the step increases as well. But it can also create complacency because you are comfortable, because you know, like, they ain't gonna fire me. Like, I'm here. I'm gonna get my increase next year. I'm gonna get my cost of living adjustment. You know, I'm gonna get my step increase or whatever. Like, I don't really. If you're not careful, it could take away your grit. It could take away that edge, you know, because you do get complacent and you do get comfortable. So I knew for me, I needed to be in a situation where it's like, I have to have grit. I have to be in a space where I have to get it done, you know, and I have to rely on God. So he made it clear to me that it was time to move. And even though I had 8 years of great provision in the government, it was time for me to be provided for in another way. And I've grown exponentially being self-employed. I've learned so many things, y'all. My ingenuity has increased, my innovation, my way to just like cut and contrive. Like, if there's a will, there's a way. I'm gonna find a way to get it done. Like, I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna be like, God, lead me to what you need me to do, and I'm gonna find a way to get it done. Like point blank, period. We gonna get this thing done. So being self-employed has definitely increased my grit. Granted, I've always been ambitious. I've always been hardworking, but when you gotta get it done by any means, pretty much, like it brings out another side to you. So it's definitely helped me out in that regard and whatnot. But you may have been provided for in one area. So maybe it was a career and it was going great. And now God is like, all right, it's time for you to move. And it might be a severe change. Like I went from government work to self-employed. That's not incremental. Like that's two opposite sides of the spectrum. You might go from working in finance to being a tutor. You might go from being a nanny to working as a government contractor. Like, you might literally make a huge shift where it's like, this don't even make sense. Like I'm starting over. And that's another thing too, on a side note, never be afraid to start over. I feel like we also become creatures of habit because we're so afraid of the unknown. It's like, what if I go and I fail? But you can always change direction again. Like hardly anything in life is really permanent. Even if you take that leap and you say, okay, I'm going to switch careers. I feel called to do this or that. And it doesn't turn out how you hoped it would. And you're like, all right, like I got to change again. You can change again. You don't have to stay stuck in something just because you made that decision. Because a lot of times, like I said, we hold on to something way past when we're supposed to. And then we end up losing that edge. We end up losing that grip. We end up missing opportunities. We end up having to bounce back so much harder than if we had moved when we first noticed it. I know people who have stayed on jobs where the writing was on the wall that they should have left. Like, God is speaking to you. The writing is on the wall, but you stayed too long and then you end up being pushed out, or you end up being laid off, or you end up leaving on your own will. But now it's like you're in a drought type of season. So you left during a drought. So it's harder for you now to get that next connection. Not impossible, because if God wanted you to leave, like I said, God will always have his way. But you almost like put yourself in a situation where now you have more obstacles to fight because you didn't move when God said to move. Like we don't have to figure it all out. It doesn't have to make perfect sense to us, because God is not man. Like his ways are not our ways. So when we sit and we lollygag and we're like, I'm not going to move until I can figure it all out, like you're honestly robbing God of a chance to use your life for his glory. Like let him show up and show out, y'all. That's why I be leaping, especially after I leaped like the biggest leap of my life to come down here and I saw what God did. I be leaping, y'all. Like if there's a leap, I'm a leap. That's me. Because I'm like, God, we gonna show up and show out. Like I don't even know how this is all gonna pan out. I do it scared now. I'm not fearless out here. I do still get scared, but I'm like, I know at the end of the day, you're going to carry me. Like, you're not going to have me out here looking broke, busted, and disgusted and just really doing without and just, just forsaking me. Like, that's not going to happen. And you did it before. I know you could do it again, because honestly, it's like our relationship is that tight, and your personal relationship with God has to be that tight. So, when he's telling you to leave, he knows, when he's telling you to make a move, when he's telling you to sit still and he's sitting you down, exactly how he speaks to you. I know how God speaks to me, but you got to know how he speaks to you, because there might not, well, it definitely won't be exactly the same as how he speaks to me, but it might be completely different, in a completely different way. So you just have to realize that it might be a season for you where that provision is shifting. Like, it's time for you to go. Maybe another example of this is my friend Monet. When I was up in DC earlier in August, she had like a meetup event, and she was also one of my clients. So I was so excited to see that she actually did this event. It's like a Black women's entrepreneur hangout, meetup, networking, where we came together, we ate, we did sip and paint, we had mimosas, we talked, we laughed, the kids played. It was a nice little hang, and I can't wait to see how it grows for her or whatever. But we were talking towards the end of the event, and me, her, and the other lady that was left, hey Shakira, we were talking, and Monet was saying that she feels the provision for her business has ended and God is shifting her to a new direction. And she said what I had said in my training, the boot camp that she took, I had mentioned that. There's a segment where I talk about that, where if you're trying to decipher where God is leading you, one of the ways to decipher that is to look at where you're getting the traction. Where do people keep coming to you and asking you questions? Where do people keep looking for your guidance? Where do doors keep opening up? Like, pay attention to those patterns, because that is all how God speaks to us. Everything's not going to be a big, like, he cracked the sky and there was a thunderbolt, or I mean a lightning bolt, and he told me that, you know, this is exactly what I need to do. Like sometimes it really is just you paying attention to how patterns are happening in your life, how nature is taking its course, and you'll be able to pick up on what God very well might be leading you to. And she said the business that she started during the pandemic, she feels like God was ending that for her. Like that was a business that was provided for the purpose of the pandemic, and it served its purpose. It was great. She was grateful, but she was like, I really do feel like now he's leading me to do this in this way and to do that in that way. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, and she said that she got that revelation because of something that I had asked her to do and something that Shakira had asked her to do and a few other people. And she was like, they all were similar. All the requests were similar. So she really thought and prayed about it. And she was like, yeah, I feel like God's leading me to that. So the provision for her has shifted. It started with one business during the pandemic, which was fruitful, was great. But now that we're kind of in I don't even know what we're in now anymore. Like, I don't know what this is anymore, but we're still low key, I guess, on lockdown. Like, I don't know. But either way, now that we're out of what was in 2020 and we're approaching the end of 2021 and still dealing with the ramifications, Lord help us. She was like, I feel like the provision is now in this direction. So it could be something like that. For me, it was, again, that influencing. At first it was influencing, and now it's the coaching. And now it's shifting to coaching and YouTube. Like YouTube is almost monetized for me, to a point where I really do strongly believe this is going to be the bulk of my provision going forward for the foreseeable future. Child, is still pandemic out here. I'm trying to figure out, because I'm like, they talking about possibly locking down again, then they saying we're not locking down, and then, you know, you got this variant, and I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, make it make sense. But you know, I'm in Georgia, so we stopped doing the pandemic since July, August of 2020. We've been living normal for a while now. So, y'all, we a whole nother, Georgia is its own little world. It's something else. But, you know, needless to say, I'm shifting to where now God is about to provide through YouTube. And then it's probably going to be something else. Like, it shifts, and that's okay. It's okay to have those shifts. The fifth and final point, as to a sign that God is doing a new thing, is you have fear to go in that direction, even though God may have told you explicitly to do that new thing. I don't think we're getting locked down again. The government said, we're tired of the pandemic, y'all. Y'all, for real. They're like, we got other things to worry about. Like, it seems never ending. And I really do pray we don't, like, because I'm used to being outside now, so I'm not trying to be locked up again. That's a no-go for me. But like I said, in Georgia, even if they tried it, we definitely still gonna be out. Like, that's just how it is. And a lot of people got vaccinated here and stuff too, so they're just like, whatever, you know. But that's a whole other topic. But yeah, when you have fear, even if God told you to go in that direction, that's a good indication that God wants you to do that new thing. Because we have to realize that the devil uses fear to keep us stagnant. The enemy uses fear to keep us stuck, because he knows that fear cripples a lot of people. And even though it's easy to say that fear is false evidence appearing real, which it is, it's still a reality. Like, fear kills dreams and goals before we ever get a chance to. And so when we let fear take us over and we believe the lies that the devil tries to tell us, like, you will fail at this, there's not going to be any coming back, you're never going to be able to redeem yourself after this or that, the third, you know, you're really blocking out the blessings God has for you. Because if there's fear attached to a situation or a new thing or a new place or whatever, that in and of itself should let you know there's got to be something worth me having. There's got to be a breakthrough or growth or something, a revelation that the devil doesn't want me to get to, because he knows if I get to it, I'm going to be one step closer or that many more steps closer to what God wants me to be, who he wants me to be, what he wants me to accomplish, impacting other people. Because what we do is attach to other people's breakthroughs, attach to other people's growth. There are people out there waiting for us to get it together, or waiting for us to take that leap of faith so that we can become what God needs us to become, so that we can go and do that thing or go to that place or meet those people that he needs us to meet, and that they can now be freed from their bondage. They can now see, like, it is possible. You know, me taking that leap of faith to come down here freed some people when they watch my videos, when they see what God is doing right now in my life, how he sustained me and stuff. It allows people to see, like, okay, like if he did it, if God did it for her, he's definitely going to do it for me. And so when you see that fear, that's an indication in my experience that you need to press in. Like you need to go past that fear, because you'll realize 99% of the time, once you get on the other side of that situation, you'll be like, I was scared for what? Like, like that was nothing. That was nothing. He does use it to cripple us. And then, like, I know for me, and I know you also have mentioned that you have your battles with this. With fear often comes anxiety. And, anxiety attacks are really scary, but they definitely are not the end all be all, and I know that's a way that the devil tries to keep us bound. And I'm just proud of you for stepping out, Shay, and I'm proud of myself as well to push past those instances when I feel it, because it can be very crippling. It's a very scary experience. So, hey, Leslie, overcoming fear is not a fierce fight for no reason. God is up to something. Exactly. So it's like anytime I feel fear now, I feel it. I allow myself to feel it. I'm not going to be out here acting like, oh, I'm never afraid. Like, trust me, I still get scared. But I reason with myself, like, why am I fearful? Am I fearful because of potential failure? Am I fearful? And honestly, I don't even think failure is a bad thing. I look at it more like a lesson learned than a failure or a regret. Like, okay, it didn't work out. All right, I wish it did, but what can I take away from this? Like, what can I learn from this so I can be wiser going forward? So don't even look at failure as the end all be all, because everything happens for a reason. Like, the more you remind yourself of that, the more you tell yourself that, like, God is sovereign. He numbered your days. He knows how your day is going to go. He knows everything that's going to happen in your life before it even happens. Like, God knew that you were going to be on this live stream today. God knew I was going to be on this live stream with this puff in my head. He knew I was going to feel sick this morning. He knows what my night's going to look like. He knew what yesterday was going to look like. He knows every single thing. So nothing is catching him by surprise. He knows that you might battle with anxiety or depression, or, you might really let fear get the best of you. He knows that you might, be afraid of what people might think or what they might say. He knows that you might be a perfectionist, and the fear of not having something work out would just like cripple you for a long time, but he's there to offer you that strength. He's there to walk you through it. You just got to reach out and like lean on him in the process, and depend on him. And the thing that I love about situations like that, when I feel a lot of fear, is that it forces me in a position where I have to rely on God. Like, it's almost like those situations when I got the car in July and it literally got to a point, not even in July, when I went through all the stuff I went through in August, it put me in a position where God sat me down and it was like, you need me. So sit down somewhere. You thought you had it. That was cute, but I'm in control here. Even last year with everything that happened, like 2020 was a year that we can look back and laugh at our plans that we made in December 2019. And we really thought we were going to be like accomplishing every little thing on our to-do list. And a lot of us didn't accomplish half of what we wanted to accomplish, or we accomplished it, but it looked different. It's just a reminder to, like, when we make plans, God laughs. That's what we say in the Caribbean. Or like another way they say it in the Caribbean is man appoints, but God disappoints. So not like he literally disappoints you, but it's just like, again, he disappoints your plans for his plan. But it really is just like, even if it doesn't turn out how you hoped, how you prayed, how you thought, he's still there with you. And that fear is what the devil uses to keep you stuck. That's why it's a fight. That's why you have to fight on a daily basis. That's why you have to renew your mind on a daily basis. You have to think of those things that are pure, that are true. You have to remind yourself that God has not given you a spirit of fear. So if you feel fear, right then and there, that's the devil. And why is he trying to keep me fearful? Because he knows that something greater is on the other side, and he wants to keep me away from it, because he's not all knowing like God, but he doesn't disturb empty houses. Like, thieves don't disturb empty houses. They're not going to go rob a house that has nothing in it. So the devil, he's like that. He's like, I want to cripple you, because I know if you really see yourself the way God sees you, if you really step into that Godfidence, that godly confidence, if you really have that courage, oh, you're going to rattle some things up. Like, you're going to change the world, okay? One person at a time, one interaction at a time. And I can't have that. I cannot have you out here changing lives, changing the world, representing the kingdom of heaven to your fullest capability, like I definitely can't have that. So he's going to use fear to cripple you. And typically, excuse me, y'all, typically, like I said, the fear lets you know something else is on the other side. So I had great fear. Anytime I went into a major situation, like I had great fear. And when it was all said and done, I'm like, I had fear, but fear strengthens your faith. So after I went through it and I was like, I was scared because of what? Then I realized my faith muscle has been exercised and my faith has gotten stronger. So now I'm expanding as a person where my limitations might have been like this. Now my limitations are like this and like this and like this. And I just find myself growing as a person and growing in faith and things like that. And so it's easier for me to take certain steps in faith when God gives you that instruction, if I exercise that. But if you never take a leap of faith and you feel like everything has to pan out exactly how you feel it has to pan out, then you're going to miss that window of opportunity, because there's something new on the other side that God wants you to step into. But you got to relinquish the need to have it all figured out. You got to relinquish the need for control, and you got to just go ahead and step into that thing. And you got to go ahead and trust that even if it doesn't make sense, he's telling me to do something that makes no sense. God's ways are not our ways. You know, he has a reason why he's telling you to do that. And honestly, like I said, too, I feel like those things that don't make sense to us are even greater testimony, because it's like, how can you deny the presence of God when you hear some of these stories? Like when you hear some of these testimonies from people, you're like, there's definitely a God. Like, you know, there ain't no way it happened like that if God doesn't exist. It's just not humanly possible, you know? So those are the 5 tips that I have, or 5 signs that God is doing a new thing in your life. Again, you are seeing closed doors. Opportunities are closing in on you. You no longer feel connected or motivated to that thing for a period of time. This has to be something consistent. Like, it's just unshakable. You keep seeing or hearing repetitive recommendations towards that new thing. You should write the book. You should do this. You should do that. You see God's provision has changed. So like my friend Monet, it was one thing during the pandemic. Now it's something different, you know, because that well has dried up, just like Elijah. He got the protection from the brook and all that good stuff and the provision, but it was time for him to go to the widow and the son. And number 5, you have fear in that direction of the new thing, even if you know God told you to do it. Yes, that's why I love Kendall's testimony lives on Monday. I know Kendall needs some. I can't wait for the next one. I think she said the next one is next week. So I can't wait. I hope it is. I really hope it is, because it's just so powerful. It really is powerful to hear testimonies. Like, testimonies remind you that we serve a living God. You know, like we are the signs and wonders of today. Like, your life is a sign and wonder. How God is moving in your life is a sign and wonder. It's not that he's not out here still doing signs and wonders like he was, but, you know, us sharing our testimony lets people know that he's alive and well, especially with the things that we've been through. Like, I'm sure if we were to sit here and compare notes of our life stories and stuff, it'll be like, girl, you lived through that? Wow. Like, and God got you through that too. And he did this. Like, it's just so amazing. So it's a reminder, like, he's always there with you, even if it feels like he's not. And that's why I love sharing my testimony. That's why I love being so transparent and letting you guys know exactly where I'm at in my life and in my walk with God, because it does make a huge difference. So nevertheless, that's all I got for you. This one was pretty short today. This is the shortest live I've had in a while, y'all. 57 minutes, which is, I mean, the fact that that's the shortest live says that I clearly am long-winded, but it definitely is the shortest I've had in a while. I'll probably be going live again next week on Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna tape a video. I know I'm gonna tape one, but right now I'm loving the lives. I'm loving the vibes of the lives. Like, it's just so simple. I can just hop on here, go live, do what I gotta do. But I do miss editing videos and stuff. So at some point, I am gonna get it back together. But thank you for joining. I hope that this helped you guys. Like I said at the beginning, this is not an end all be all, not like, oh, you must see these things, otherwise God's not doing a new thing. But this is just from my life, my own experience. And, you know, I think that they were helpful for me. So I hope they were helpful for you. Otherwise, that would defeat the purpose as to why you were here if it wasn't helpful. But like I said, I'll be live next week. So I don't know what time on Tuesday, if it's still going to be 12 noon or if it's going to be more in the afternoon. We're going to see. I'll let you know. Just pay attention to my Instagram stories, because that's where I'm going to put it up on the Daily Delle page. But also I'll try to put on my business page at Rondelle Martin. And again, if you want to reach me directly, send me an email either to dailydelle@gmail.com or Coach Rondelle at gmail.com, and I'll get back to you because I'm not really on Instagram. I literally just go on to let you guys know about YouTube until I get the community tab, and then I log out. I don't really linger. So I'm just on a break. I'm trying to figure out what God wants me to do. And until I get that clarity, your girl ain't going to be back on Instagram. So it is what it is. But y'all have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week and weekend. Stay safe. I will see you guys next week for the live streams, and I will put the topics in my stories when I think about it. I'm kind of going with the flow of what God tells me to do, and that might be the day of. So see y'all. Love you. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video and share it out. If you're not subscribed, please do, and subscribe from your other YouTube accounts if you have multiple ones, so I can get to this 1K. But I definitely, and thank you, Shay, I definitely am starting to feel a little better. I need to drink some ginger ale. I think it's something I ate last night. It just had me feeling nauseous and all jacked up. I was like, Lord, please get me through this live stream. And look at God. He got me through the live stream, y'all. So I'm grateful. And I appreciate you too, Leslie. Love y'all. I will see you next week. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.